Morning everybody. It's actually my last morning in Hua Hin. So I thought I'd go for a little walk along the beach. And as I'm here anyway, I thought I'd have a walk along rather than just talking inside of my head. I might as well talk out loud. There's a Korean expression, and my pronunciation of this is awful, so anybody that knows it correctly, please tell me. But it's something along the lines of Song Kong Hao or something like that. It means small but certain happiness. So it's essentially motivating you to do things that, they're not going to make you a millionaire, they're not going to change your life, but they'll just give you a little happiness. And I always try to start the day like that. I always try to start the day something along those lines, and a nice walk in the sun with the waves crashing by. I think that's a good way to set the day up. I'm not going to be able to do this back in England, so do it while you can. And there's potential that when I move here, which hopefully isn't too far away, you'll stop appreciating things that are here, because we do that in our own country. There's so many beautiful things in my own country, places and interesting historical sites that I haven't visited, because you just take things for granted that are on your doorstep. But I'm going to try not to do that. Actually, I saw a lot of things in the UK prior to lockdown just to show my wife them, because I thought, I need to show her the country. But it's things that I'd never seen myself. I don't want to say a nightmare, that's too strong, but a really, really strong dream yesterday that was so clear and so vivid. And I know dreams don't last very long, but it felt like it did. That I woke up thinking that it was true. Dreamt that my wife had tested positive for COVID by volunteering to be screened, and that the army had taken her away, and we're due to fly home soon. And I was running away in my dream, hiding from the army. Very strange dream. But it felt so vivid, and I woke up this morning, right, what am I going to do? The army are looking for me. And then it took me 10 minutes to get my thoughts together and realize it was just a silly dream. But the strange thing about that is, when I woke up this morning, my hotel, when I haven't had breakfast, but they're eating breakfast. My hotel was full of all the umpala, the upper brass from the army. So maybe I vaguely saw them last night without really realizing. It was in my subconscious or something, who knows. Doesn't really matter, but it was just something that something that got my day off to not the best start, but this is a better start. Some of these houses on the beach here are worth an absolute fortune. And a lot of the people were just happen chance, they happened to live where a city suddenly became popular. I was looking at property, here, I wouldn't buy here because, apart from the fact I couldn't afford a property like that, they're so expensive, they're so overpriced. Well, what's overpriced? There's no such thing as overpriced property, right? If you can afford it, that's what it is. But I was looking at Khao Tak Yao yesterday, which is, if you look in the hill up there, the background, that's where it is. And you can get places up there, you can get condos that are not overly expensive. And will probably be zero cost to you, because you'll rent them out, at least what the mortgage is, if you can get a mortgage. The only reliable way I've seen to get a mortgage out here is to have equity in property in the UK or whatever your country is, and remortgage that. There are other schemes, but they look very, very messy to me. And the problem with buying cash, it's a lot of, if you're fortunate to have that amount of cash, which most of us won't be, it's a lot of money to tie up for not a lot of return. The capital gains here are quite often minimal. Quite often minimal. But what a life, waking up there every day, looking out every day to the sea. What a life. I used to have a summer home in a place called Hvar, an island in Croatia. And before that we had one in Šibenik, which is on the mainland. And there was nothing more beautiful than waking up, looking through the shutters in your bed. Nobody could see in, but you could just see out and see the islands behind you. Actually, I mean, the view there was definitely better than here. The view out to the sea was more beautiful, but I prefer it here. But that was naturally more beautiful. I was talking about the small but certain happiness that I think we should all aim for. I think it'll change your mindset and things. I know when I stick to it, I'm not great at... I often say I'm going to do things and I'm not... Consistency is not my strong point, really. I have these ideas. I have too many ideas. But that's what I'm going to try to stick to this year. I always say when I leave Thailand that I'm going to go to the Mai Pen Rai attitude. I'm going to be calm and not worry about things. Because my wife has a very easygoing nature, very agreeable person. Which, you know, is cherished by a lot of people and is absolutely makes that people nice to be around, and they get respect from people they first meet. But it's a false respect, in my opinion. They're just setting up for the massages on the beach here. People respect people they don't feel dominated by. People see you as a threat. I want to try to take you down. So I think agreeableness is overrated as a quality. You should be just. I think just is a much better thing to be. If you're fair, you don't have to agree with a person. You know, a lot of people don't deserve to be agreed with. A lot of people say some terrible things, behave in a terrible way. I don't think you should agree with that person just because being agreeable makes you a easier person to have a beer with. I don't know if there's the opposite. Maybe there is. If there's not, I'm going to invent this. I don't know if there's an opposite of having this small but certain happiness. But there must be such a thing as guaranteed misery. Small but guaranteed misery. If you go to the tax man, that's guaranteed misery. Very little comes out of that. Oh, look at this. Look at the squids there. So you've got to be careful in Hua Hin. That's why I never swim in the water here. Can you see that? Jim Andrews is a vlogger here. His brother got really badly stung. His brother's I think he's a triathlete. He swims out in the sea here. He runs. But yeah, he got really badly stung here a few years ago. So you've got to be very careful. Yeah, you wouldn't want to bite off that guy, and I'm not going to urinate on you afterwards. So yeah, be careful. I don't swim in the sea here. I swim in the pool. That would be exactly what I was talking about. Certain unhappiness. And there's other ways of achieving that we all do. And we all do mostly for ego-related reasons. And one of those things is surrounding ourselves with people that we know we don't like. That could be on YouTube, that could be going to a bar. Could be going into an office every day where you hate the office manager or the director or the secretary, whatever. Doing a job you know you hate. Just because you're too lazy to look for something else. They're the things that I mean. They're the things that I mean. And going into YouTube channels where you just know people are there trolling, trying to trigger you and stuff like that, that's guaranteed to bring unhappiness. I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm not going to completely say I won't do it anymore, but I'm very, very, very likely not to do it a lot. I'm going to limit myself. I'm going to limit myself on a lot of things. Alcohol. The reality is, before COVID, I wasn't a big drinker. I always had the propensity to drink a lot in one sitting. I quite often go months and months and months without drinking. And I'm going back to that because it's just a healthier lifestyle. I've drunk more in the last month than normal alcoholics would be drinking, I would assume. I don't know how much most alcoholics drink, but I've drunk too much. And in all honesty, I've drunk a lot less than I normally do when I come here, because the bars have been closing earlier. think this comes from coming from a town in northeast of England where binge drinking is just sort of part of the culture, entwined into the culture. I completely stopped that when I moved to Croatia because it was massively frowned upon, and then I stopped drinking altogether when I was losing weight. Intercontinental, very highly regarded hotel. I've never stayed there actually, but I've heard people say it's the best hotel in town. I don't know. I know that I like the Hyatt, so that's my small but certain happiness. Maybe I'll check it out next time. Oh, I'm sweating. It's hot today. Hua Hin in general is a hot city compared to other places in Thailand. I don't know why. It just tends to be that way. Thailand's mostly a hot place, but I mean, I was up in Isan and it was cold in the mornings. I was wearing a sweater. It was cold in the evenings. It's never cold here. And 3 o'clock in the afternoon, it's almost unbearable, and I'm pretty good with the heat. One of the things I have to contend with, I was looking at that condo. It's not the most beautiful looking thing in the world, I don't think. But I guess when you're inside, you're not looking out. It always makes me laugh in Thailand. You have these huge properties. In Isan, there's one in particular. It's beautiful. It's one of the most beautiful buildings I've ever seen. Big glass property that must be a nightmare to cool. Must have the air conditioning on constantly. And then across the street is a shack. They're looking at the shack. So that's their daily view. Guys are sitting out the banana boats. But the shack across the street is looking at their beautiful building, so dichotomy of that always amuses me. These guys normally make a good living out here, but just like everybody in Thailand, almost everybody, you know, they're just not really making a living. These guys riding the horses up and down, you're normally waiting for a horse, and you normally don't see them this far down the beach. But the main end of the beach up there, where the Hilton is in the background, there's nobody there because that end of the town is completely dead. So you've mostly got the families up this end. Yeah, I was rambling about property earlier. So I was saying the price of the property here can be expensive. Certainly even relative to the UK. I mean, okay, you're living on a beach, I understand that. But I was just searching for property on one of the usual sites yesterday, and it widened the search. No, it was coincidental. I didn't ask it to do that. It just did it. I guess that's how their algorithm works. It's how they get more sales. I don't know. But there was a town an hour south of here, which I know is more beautiful than here in terms of the aesthetics of the beach and stuff. You can get a condo for $1 million baht, like a nice condo. Great place to come stay on a holiday. And then you're thinking, well, okay, you're not going to get huge returns on that, but if you're a retired guy, you just want a simple life in the sun, not sat in miserable UK with just the social club on the weekend to look forward to. What a way to live. Sell your house in England for whatever it is, £300,000, whatever the average property price is in the UK now. Buy yourself a condo for 25,000. Don't buy too much gold for your latest TLAC. And you're set. You'll have a happier life. Well, I say you'll have a happier life. Some people, you know, we're social animals, and everybody's desire for interaction is different. If you're the sort of guy that likes going to the pub and talking to the same mates he's had for 50 years, 3 times a week, then you could quite easily get isolated out here. I see a lot of fake friendships being built out of necessity here. People, they just want somebody to talk to when they're eating the breakfast, or they want somebody to talk to at the bar. Just because somebody happens to come from the same country that you come from doesn't mean you have anything in common, even the same town. I've always been a bit of a, let me get this right. I think it's xenophile. I think that's the correct term. It's the antithesis of xenophobe. So I've always been sort of drawn to foreigners. Found them more interesting. I already know about my hometown. People are not going to teach me too much about that, or the life there, the culture there. In many ways, I've rejected it by seeking out different countries. Just dawned on me as a non-YouTuber that the sun's probably dimming this whole thing, but that's okay. I'm not a vlogger. No aspirations to be a vlogger. When I'm here, when I'm doing something, I point my camera and I have a talk. I don't go out of my way to do it. Sometimes people watch them, sometimes they don't. Such is life. I think it's good to verbalize your thoughts sometimes. It concretes them in your mind. So if I was just walking along here, having my thoughts in the head, it makes them less real. So if I'm talking out loud, even though I'm basically talking to myself, some people may listen. I don't think there's one person in the world that will listen to every word I say here. I mean, why would they care? But I do think that's the point of your channel, to make your channel about things that you're interested in and express your opinions on things. Now, these real vloggers, they have to go out and find content and find something new. Well, we're all having a better day than this guy. Sorry, fella. That's what they have to do, and I know a couple of these guys, and it's a job. That's what it is. It's a job with no guaranteed results. Is that maybe that's a passing out gown? Graduated from university or something? Let's have a look. It's very similar to the one I've seen in my wife's photos, so let's have a look. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so, yeah. Maybe she's passed out or something. I don't know if it's a university one. Yeah, I think it is. Young lady, congratulations. I think it's important to celebrate your achievements. Quite often we're celebrating other people's achievements. You're celebrating, I'm a Formula One fan, so I celebrated Lewis Hamilton's achievements. I'm a football fan, so I celebrate my football team's achievements. Your achievements may not be as groundbreaking as theirs. They may not be as recognized as theirs. But if you don't celebrate them, or you don't have people around you that celebrate them, what motivates you to do it again? You don't want to be in a rinse and repeat lifestyle. It's funny, me watching all the kids here, you know, they're really nice kids. When I see the kids come to these hotels, they're mostly really well behaved. And I do like kids, but I've always lived quite a selfish nature in the times that I want to be able to come and go as I please and all these kind of things. Even having a wife, in some ways, is a burden. It's a blessing. It's a more of a blessing than it is a burden. But it is. Anybody, anything's a burden, right? A job's a burden, a car's a burden, a dog's a burden. Family's a burden, friends are a burden, because they eat up into your time. But if I'm going to have kids, I'm going to have to do it pretty soon, because both of our clocks are ticking, particularly mine. And when I think of the amount of hours I waste on unimportant things, like YouTube and some other things, I do have the time. We always have the time. There was a monk, Franciscan monk, that always he wrote some great stuff years and years ago. And one of his things was about time. And it was something along the lines of, you sleep 7 hours a day, and then you've got all those other hours, 17 hours a day. You have to work 8 hours of those days. Just work it hard. Don't play when you're working. And I agree with that. It's like the German model. People always complain they don't have enough time at work. But you know, how much time do you really waste at work? Most of us are not 100% focused. Most of us. So you go to work, do whatever you can in those hours, and then forget it when you go home. That's the dream, right? Pretty young ladies taking photos over here. That's the dream, to leave it behind. But very few of us can do that. You get to a certain level, well, that's no longer possible. I don't know if I'd be bored or not, if I could retire completely. I suspect that I wouldn't be, but I'd find trouble. I have a way of finding trouble. And there's a couple of things that are responsible for that. First one is I have quite a righteous nature. I believe in fairness. I dislike bullies. And I believe I'm sort of culpable or responsible to stand up to them. I've never liked bullies. I remember I moved schools when I was in the middle of my teen years, and I was quite popular, well known at my school. And then you come to the new school and you're the new guy. And I didn't know this guy, and he just kept picking at me for some reason, for no reason other than the fact that I was a new guy. Much bigger than me, and he started with a verbal joust, but then he quickly realized that he wasn't going to win that one. So he started getting physical with me. This is the second day of my new school. Third day at the new school, I wrapped a chair around his head. Never said a word to me again. The next time I saw him was about 10 years later at a football game. And he had a scar. He showed me what I'd done. I'd put a scar on him. I wrapped a chair around his head. I don't feel bad about that, because maybe I saved a lot of other people that would have been less inclined to stand up to him from being bullied. I don't like bullies. The other thing is, I don't know what the correct terminology for this is, but I'm an aggressive reactor. It's very rare that I actually go out and find trouble, look for trouble myself in terms of instigating it, but I do react to stuff. So I can control that. That's something I need to do. You're never going to control the people that are around you making trouble, people that are just instigators looking for fights. That's who they are. That's what they do. Whether you're there or not, they're going to be doing that all day long. And that's the same with some of these YouTube guys. And the third thing is drinking. You drink too much, which I don't really, but I do when I'm on holiday. Drinking makes you more aggressive anyway, but you're gonna find trouble if you drink too much. It's just the way it is. Most people. I think it's just me and the old people up this early. What time is it? 9:15. My wife will still be asleep in bed. So all those things you can control, I can control. So even though I might feel that I was absolutely right, to go back at them doesn't achieve anything. They'll still be doing it to somebody else. This is interesting to me. Look at this: private property, no entry. One of the biggest things that Hua Hin's done that's a mistake, but it's too late to rectify now unless somebody really clamps down. They've limited the access to the beach. It's almost impossible to get to the beach from a lot of these places. As far as I know, that's a private residence. I don't think it's a hotel. I've never seen it advertised anywhere. You can imagine the kind of money somebody has that owns that. It could be. I don't really know that. I just can't remember ever seeing it advertised. There's no name there or anything. Beautiful. So these guys, they're going to be losers for the rest of their lives. They're not walking along a beautiful beach looking at the coconuts. They're sat in a chat room now on 20 accounts, fighting for people about absolutely nothing. Just stay away from them. What do you achieve? You're not going to achieve anything. That's who they are. One thing I always have to remember here is this is a holiday. This is not my life. And I don't forget that when I'm here, but sometimes I do when I'm home. I forget. You've got to judge a culture by the way it operates in the moment. So the things that I do here, in terms of the activities and drinking and stuff like that, I would probably frown upon that in my normal day of living. But it's a break from that. It's an escapism, and that's the whole point. But imagining what a life would be here, it's very different to sitting on a beach all day. It's a different kind of life. Been going on a little long, but my hotel's still a kilometer away, so I'll keep walking. This is one of the entrances from the main road. If you book the Ibis Hotel somewhere up there, you have to come to the beach this way. I said that previously. Be careful when you're booking your hotels here. If you want direct access to the beach, not everywhere has them. I have to head to Pattaya today, which, to be honest, I'm Pattaya out. 4 days was more than enough, 4 or 5 days. but I have to return the car. It's amazing to me that I couldn't hire a car at all anyway. Baffling to me. But it shows the nature of now fulfilling things. There are obviously too many cars for the rest of the year, so they don't want to supply so many cars they can just cope with high season. It's a strange nature of a tourist town, I guess. Tourist country. I mean, the numbers that have been coming out about tourism being 15% or 20% of the economy, that's absolute nonsense. Let's be honest about that. It's much higher. And even if tourism isn't the correct word, even if it's foreign dependency, it's much, much higher. The whole country, well, not the whole country, but a huge part of the country is relying on foreign money. That could be through marriage, that could be through working abroad, that could be through tourists coming here, that could be through some of the less reputable industries. So we all know the truth, that a lot of people are really suffering here. And one thing that's more apparent than I've ever seen it, and maybe it's the nature of the places that I've been, but the high-so ties, I mean, they're so separate from anything else. And I guess we're about to get a view of that now, because I'm actually at my hotel. I was thinking it's further away, but I saw a lot of army guys here, and I think they're still here. So I might get security checked here, but who knows? But you know, they're so separate from the rest of society. This is a rich and poor country. There is a burgeoning middle class, but it's nothing compared to the rich and the poor. Maybe it's a wedding, could be a wedding, I don't know. As long as I don't block my access to my room, we're all good. So we're coming back into the Hyatt now. Oh, I don't want to disturb this wedding here for the cab. I'll go around. I'll go around. Yeah, my room's that way, but I don't want to disturb these people. Yeah, it's a wedding. Beautiful. Okay, I'll stop this here. This is their private moment. But it is interesting. I'll get out of their way. It is interesting watching. Thai weddings are fascinating, actually. Maybe I'll watch it and I'll take the film off. Hope everybody has a great day. Thank you for the people who listen to this rambling. All the best, everybody.